All right, wizards, do me a favor. Take 10 or 15 minutes today and read over this so you're ready for tomorrow in class. You guys did super well on the quiz last week using panic for confidence intervals. So tomorrow I want to address phantoms for hypothesis tests. And again, phantoms is just a memory aid to help you remember everything you need to include for the AP test when you write up your hypothesis tests. So here's my situation. I've got this telephone company, and the representative believes that 40% of its customers want call waiting. That's my population statement. To test the hypothesis, she selected a random sample of 100 customers and found that 37% had call waiting. That's my evidence that I've collected. So the P in phantoms, what is the parameter you are testing? And try to state that parameter and state your evidence. So what I would say is I want to test if 40% of the population of a telephone company's customers want call waiting. Given in a sample of 100 customers, only 37% wanted call waiting. The H in phantoms means state your hypotheses. You used to state them in symbols and in words. Honestly, oftentimes on the AP test, they give you the hypotheses, and so you don't even need to state this. You have to state it for me this week, so be ready. Then check your assumptions and conditions in context. We've been doing this for quite a while now. The 100 customers were selected randomly. Of the 100 in the sample, 37 wanted call waiting and 63 did not. And both are greater than 10, so my sample is large enough to use a normal model, and I can safely assume that there are more than 1,000 customers total, so my sample is not too big. Name the test. The conditions have been met, so I can conduct a 1 proportion Z test at the 1% significance level. So name your test with this significance level. Now, in phantoms, T and O tend to go together. This is your test statistic and obtain your p-value. So you can get all of this information from your calculator, and I will show you how on tomorrow, but I also have a screenshot here, and you guys can probably figure it out. So, but again, for grading purposes, these two tend to go together. So make sure you include a picture. Label your picture correctly with the p-hat. So right there's my p-hat. And there's my z-score with the calculation. But honestly, you can get away without showing all those details, just the z-score. There's my p-value for the left, or my p-value for the left side, and my overall p-value since I'm choosing to do a two-tailed test. And I've also stated my evidence against my null hypothesis again. I've got a sample size of 100 with a p-hat of 0.37. And I can do this on my calculator. So for example, on my calculator, there is a 1 proportion Z test where my null hypothesis is 0.4 and my successes are 37 and my sample size is 100 and I select my alternate hypothesis. And then it spits out this stuff here. This is all the stuff that I need to include in my work. So I need to include the z-score. Right there's my z-score, and I need to include the p-value, and I need to include my p-hat and my sample size. So I have my z-score and my p-value. I also have the evidence against the null hypothesis, and it's all here in the test. So I'm going to use this test to kind of back up my work. And so the M and the S in phantoms, make a decision and state your conclusion. Oftentimes these go together for grading purposes. So the thing I can suggest though is make sure that you connect the p-value and the size of the p-value, either being larger or smaller than the significance level. Make sure you connect that to your decision. So here's what I mean. With a p-value of 0.54 greater than my alpha level, there's my linkage between the p-value and the alpha level. Here's my decision. I fail to reject the null hypothesis. And then here's my conclusion. I do not have evidence that the population proportion of customers who want call waiting is different than 40%. call weight. Well, I don't know what that other call weighting is. I will delete that puppy. So this is Phantom, kids. This is Phantom. It's just a memory aid to help you remember all the things that you need to include in a hypothesis test. The only thing they could ask you that's differently, that they probably will, is they'll ask you to describe maybe what a type 1 error is or what a type 2 error is. So remember, a type 1 error is when you think the proportion is different than 40%, but it's actually not. And a type 2 is when you don't think it's different than 40%, but it is. So that's that, man. That's a hypothesis test. And you guys did so well last week. So well on that. Was the best written stuff I saw out of any stats class ever. And so if you can do the same thing this Friday for hypothesis test, you guys are going to be fine. So again, I hope this has been helpful. Please read over this and take some time to study this for tomorrow. And have a great Monday, kids.